and you can hear Rod knock. Do I ever have a story for you? Please do me a favor and sit tight for 1 minute. I'm gonna do some talking. It's a pretty good story, not gonna lie. So about a week ago, my buddy contacted me and he said, hey man, would you like to buy your truck back? So if you didn't know, which you don't, I had a Dodge Dakota that I lifted, I painted, I have big tires on it, put light bars all over it. It was a cheap budget off-road build. So I painted it and everything. I have so much work and love into it. So I was like, obviously, man, I would love to have it back. So he sold it back to me for $450, which is nothing. That is nothing for a running and driving truck that purrs like a kitty. I bought it back 2 days ago. Today is Sunday, and I bought it and insured it 2 days ago. So I put it onto the road and I was driving it. And 4 days from now, I am going on holidays, bringing the truck with Tom and a bunch of my other buddies, and I'm going to beat the crap out of the thing off-road, driving in the lakes, etc. That's just how we do it. So I was doing the test on it. So I was driving it on the street. I had insurance on it and everything, and I was testing it. I was doing burnouts. I was doing to the mat pulls, like 0 to 130, just seeing if it would actually take the abuse that I was gonna give it to it while I was up north off-roading. Yesterday, I went and visited my sister to see her child. Was driving back and I actually heard a little bit of a ticking noise from the truck. So I was like, damn, like this thing is knocking. That is so crappy. So I went under with a hose underneath my truck and put my ear on one end of the hose and the other end of the hose on the oil pan, and there was some serious knocking noises coming from the oil pan. So that would have been obviously bottom end, which would be a rod knock. I called my buddy Chris and I'm like, hey man, can I get a second opinion here? Second opinions are important. You always gotta figure that out and kind of brainstorm with another person. It's always good to do. I do that a lot with my uncle. I was like hoping it would be a lifter or something. So if that was an issue, it would just be top end and I could probably drive it and not have it grenade while I'm there. Obviously it wouldn't sound nice, but it would run. I was driving into my buddy's, his shop, to give him a look at it. The rod knock started getting worse while I was on the way. It's like a 20-minute drive from my shop to his. So I pulled it in first gear and I was on his road to go to his shop. Like I was like 200 meters away. And I pulled the gear selector into first, let it downshift and put her to the mat. Let her go all the way to rev limiter, and it was knocking the whole way. And I let it sit on the limiter for a couple seconds because I was giving it the test to see if it would last up north. Because the first thing I do is throw something on the limiter in a burnout or whatever. And when I did that pull, the engine literally exploded inside and crumbled down to its last final movements inside until it locked completely solid with all the engine parts just crunched inside that little poor engine. This was yesterday. So my holidays are literally 4 days away and I have no truck to rip. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna replace the engine. What did I do yesterday as soon as I blew it up? I went an hour and a half away with my buddy. We just kind of chilled. And I went and picked up an engine off a random person off Kijiji, and I got a good deal on it. It was only $300, so hopefully this thing runs mint. And my goal for today is have the truck running and driving, which literally it hasn't even been blown up for 12 hours yet, and I've already got to move on this whole project. So since I blew up the engine on the street that my buddy shops at, I coasted into his shop, and I'm like, man, can I use your hoist? He's like, yep. So I'm gonna have the luxury of using a hoist and a couple buddies as help. I'm definitely gonna have Devon helping me for most of the day, but he won't be there until early afternoon, I would assume. He likes sleeping in, which is not a problem at all. And I'll just be taking bolts out, doing setting up my engine crane. I've got that in the back of my truck, getting my tools set up, getting wiring off, all that like small tedious stuff that needs done. I've already got the truck on the hoist, so I just need to jack it up, then put the engine hoist underneath the truck so I can get to the front of the truck. Long story short, I sent the crap out of that truck with multiple burnouts as soon as I bought it, and it blew up. Broad knock, grenade, blah. So here we go, engine swap number 1 on the 4.7 Dakota. Here she is. I got her on big, dirty KO1s. Redneck paint job I gave her. Thing is sweet. Got a huge light bar that's 50 inches up there. And then a little one down here. That's all you need. This is the new engine I picked up yesterday with my buddy Devon. So what I'm gonna do right now is remove the AC, the tensioner, power steering. I got all the bad accessories off, so now I'm going to drain the coolant out of this truck. I can't put this on the engine crane until I get that out. I actually completely forgot. So the next thing is I'm gonna take the belts off, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to leave the power steering pump in the truck. So I'm gonna remove it from the engine and leave all the lines on, so it'll be much easier and I don't have to refill all this stuff out later. We're getting somewhere. So now I'm just going to remove all the wiring, my intake, the heater core, hoses, just everything I need to remove before I have to pull it out. So by the time I'm done that, maybe my buddy will be in, and then we'll be good to go and rip her out. Take all the bolts off the bell housing, and out she comes. Hopefully it's that easy. All right, I've gotten a lot done on the Dakota. Everything's out, the rad. All I need to do is take off my lines for my actual automatic transmission, and I've never done so, so I'm gonna wait until my buddy comes. I noticed that there is a just flathead screwdriver clamp on here, which seems sketch, but I don't know how to remove this because that is locked on there tight. I tried to remove that, but it seems sketch, so I'm gonna leave it because if I break that off, I'm in a hell of a mess. So I'm gonna wait, get my buddy's opinion, because I never really deal with automatics whatsoever. I'm always 5-speed or go home type of thing. So this is auto, obviously, so I've got to deal with that. But for now, I'm going to put all my accessories from the Dakota onto here. One is the actual alternator and one is the tensioner. And I've also removed the AC because AC will not help you go fast. And I removed the old steering pump. I just removed the new pump on the actual Dakota here because this did have a new pump. I removed it, it's dangling down there, so when we get the engine in, I can just bolt it up and no fluid needs changed. While I'm here at the new engine, I'm gonna remove all the 10 mil bolts, take out the actual coils, take out the actual spark plugs and check them and see if they're any good. I remember putting brand new ones in before I got rid of my truck, so I'm probably gonna be putting those ones from that truck into this engine. And it'll be a lot easier just having the engine on the floor, right? All right, there's the plug that I pulled out. It actually looks pretty good. This is the first one I pulled out, and it's got to 40 thou. So what I'm gonna do is remove them all, see where they're at, and then I'm going to probably gap them down to 35, and I will probably get a little bit more top end power. I actually just removed the plugs out of the blown up engine, and here they are, and I've found that one plug got crushed pretty good, so the piston was actually hitting the spark plug, which is pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet, not gonna lie. Got munched up in there. So the plugs I'm reusing, I'm using the good ones that I could find out of the total amount of both the engines. Why not? Because budget, right? So what I'm gonna do is gap them down, like I said. These ones are over 40 thou, so that's huge. So I'm gonna just close them up a bit. I'm gonna close them down to about 37 thou. All right, this engine is ready to go in. I got the plugs in, coils, I checked them. It's gonna be sweet. So pretty much everything's good to go. I just gotta get that thing out. Devon just came here, so we're gonna move on and get these hoses off, rip it out. Here we're just starting to remove some bell housing bolts, engine mounts, various things that need to be removed when you're actually taking the engine out. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So after like a million tries, we literally had the engine locked up and we couldn't spin it to get the torque converter bolts out. And if you can't get the torque converter bolts out, you're basically in for a bad day. But thankfully, Devon here is strong as shit and rotated her over. He's the Hulk, so we got them all out. And then hopefully now she's gonna pop right out. We'll see though. I'm sure we got a surprise ahead of us, but we'll see. We've got Blake here, Blake's cousin, and Devon. We're gonna get her out. Is that locked? One more tranny bolt. We forgot one. Is that a big one?
Hey, I got one more if you need one.
Holy.
Fucking fishing pole.
Fishing pole. Get her in there.
I've seen monks do one like in YouTube.
All right, it is time to get the new engine in. No. What? If they have jumpers, we can double jumpers from my truck to here. So yes, the engine that I just put in with my buddies is knocking, but it's 3:30 in the morning and I needed to finish this thing up, get it rolling and get it out of the shop because work has to be done tomorrow and this is not my shop. So need to get her out, need to get her rolling. So I'll deal with the rest tomorrow. I don't know what's going on with that engine, but it's definitely knocking. All right, the engine swap's done. Let's go see how she sounds. Listen very closely and you can hear rod knock.